Long before they were gracing red carpets, topping the charts, making us laugh, or starring in hit TV shows, plenty of famous faces made their first appearances on TV in a very different setting, as contestants on popular game shows. Back then, they weren't household names or national treasures, just hopeful members of the public trying their luck for a prize, a bit of fun, or maybe just their 15 minutes of fame. One of the interesting things about looking back at classic television is keeping an eye out for those now familiar faces in their younger days. People who are now very well known appearing on a game show before finding fame. From comedians and pop stars to actors and presenters, the world of British game shows has been an unexpected launchpad for some very famous faces. So in this video, we're going to take a look at a few well-known British celebrities who appeared on game shows either long before they were famous or just as their careers were getting started, checking out the episodes they appeared on and how well they did in the end. A few of these are quite well known, but there may be a few that you've never seen before, so I hope you enjoy the video. Before we get started, please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content here on the channel. Your support recently has been incredible, and I'd like to thank you all for helping the channel grow. What better place to start than with the greatest game show of all time, at least in my opinion, The Crystal Maze. Across its original run of 6 series between 1990 and 1995, the show always featured teams of adults trying to crack the maze and win the grand prizes. But for the 5 Christmas specials that aired between each series, teams of kids were invited on instead. The first of these aired on January 1st, 1991, and our team captain is 15-year-old Michael Underwood. Michael has gone on to have a very successful career as a children's TV presenter on CBBC and CITV, where he's hosted shows including the 7th and 8th series of The Big Bang, quiz show Eliminator, and perhaps most notably series 5 to 8 of Jungle Run. Clearly his appearance on The Crystal Maze had an impact on him and may have been his inspiration to pursue a career on television. Let's see how he got on as he and his team tried to crack the Crystal Maze. The team started out in the Aztec zone and Michael played the first game, Feed the God, but was a little too slow in working out what he actually needed to do in the game and eventually ran out of time. 3, 2, The team were able to pick up one crystal here though, before moving on to the industrial zone, where unfortunately they weren't able to pick up any more. Michael played one more game in this zone, BB gun targets, but wasn't able to hit any of the targets. Zone 3 was Medieval, where the team were able to win 2 more much-needed crystals, with Michael once again playing a game in this zone, but unfortunately was unsuccessful for the 3rd time. And in the final zone, Futuristic, the team picked up another 2 crystals, meaning they had a total of 25 seconds in the Crystal Dome. 25 seconds isn't a lot though, and they were only able to collect 87 gold tokens and 24 silver tokens for a total of 63, which would usually be a loss and they would only go away with the I Cracked the Crystal Maze crystal, but since it's Christmas, Richard decides to award the team the grand prize anyway, which is a trip to the Asterix theme park in France. As mentioned earlier, Michael went on to have a great career on television and radio, and is currently working as a teacher alongside presenting a weekend show on Virgin Radio. Sale of the Century ran in its original run for an incredible 12 years, ending in 1983 before being rebooted for the first time by Sky in 1989. And it was during this Sky reboot in 1990 that our next celebrity game show contestant made an appearance, Simon Cowell. At the time, Simon was working as a record producer, and on the show he states that he's interested in motor racing and is a keen go-kart racer. Simon gets off to a good start, keeping the contest close with one of the other contestants, Phil, before racing ahead towards the end with a total of £80, picking up a set of kitchen utensils along the way. Simon chooses to come back on the next episode rather than spend his winnings on any of the prizes, but in that following episode he unfortunately lost, meaning those kitchen utensils were his only prize. It wouldn't be until just over a decade later that we would see Simon Cowell turn into the hugely successful television personality he's now become when he took on the role of judge on Pop Idol, and the rest is history. As we just touched on Pop Idol, as we all know, one of Simon Cowell's other shows was The X Factor, which ran from 2004 to 2018, and one of the most popular series of The X Factor was Series 6 in 2009, which was won by Joe McElderry. The runner-up in that series was none other than Olly Murs, who has gone on to have a very successful career. But 2 years before The X Factor, in 2007, Olly Murs made his first ever television appearance as a contestant on game show Deal or No Deal. Starting with box number 1, Olly got off to a decent start and was offered an excellent £13,500 after round 1. After a no deal and a couple more rounds, that offer had increased to £22,000, an offer I would have found very hard to turn down at that stage of the game. Olly decided to play on though, but that was a huge mistake as his next few boxes would knock out all of the big prizes.
£250,000 gone.
Olly played on with the £10,000 box in play, hoping his luck would change, but the third to last box to be opened sealed his fate, meaning his winnings would be either £10, £1,000 or the banker's offer of £450. Olly declined the offer, then decided to swap boxes, and in the end only went home with a tenner, a brutal end to what looked like a very promising game early on. However, this actually wasn't Olly's worst appearance on Deal or No Deal. In 2012, after finding fame on The X Factor and starting his career as a successful singer-songwriter, Olly appeared on Celebrity Deal or No Deal, where he went away with just 50p for his chosen charity, making him the only person to appear twice on the program as a contestant. And it's Blind Date, a show that ran for an incredible 18 series in its original run from 1985 to 2003. There have been so many memorable moments from this show, including the time an undercover journalist posed as a contestant. You can check out my video covering that scandal after this, as well as many couples who met on the show and subsequently got married, most famously Sue Middleton and Alex Tatham, who met on an episode in 1988 and were married a few years later in 1991. Their wedding was broadcast on a special episode of Blind Date that was watched by 18 million viewers. But Blind Date has also had a number of contestants who later went on to become famous. In 1989, Mark Speight, who later found success on children's art program Smart, appeared on the show as one of the 3 choices, but was unfortunately not selected. Amanda Holden made her first ever television appearance when she was a contestant on an episode in 1991 and was also not chosen for the date. Nikki Graham, who would later find fame on Big Brother, was a contestant on an episode in 2003, and comedian Ed Byrne was also a contestant in 1993, although I have never been able to find this episode of the show. Blind Date is actually slated for another reboot on Disney Plus in the near future, so that will definitely be something to keep an eye out for. In 1997, just as his comedy career was about to kick off, Stephen Merchant appeared as a contestant on long-running quiz show Blockbusters. His appearance came during the series on BBC Two, which was hosted by Michael Aspel, and we learn on the show that at the time Stephen was working for the charity ActionAid and had just recently finished his degree in film and literature at the University of Warwick. He also talks about how he occasionally writes comedy and film scripts, but I bet nobody knew at the time that he would go on to become one of Britain's best comedy writers. Unfortunately, Stephen didn't do too well on Blockbusters. He got a few questions right in the first game, but his opponents were eventually able to make the first straight line across the board. In the second game, which spilled over into the next episode, Stephen wasn't able to stop the pair from completing their second line, and unfortunately, he was eliminated. Michael Aspel points out to us just how tall Stephen Merchant is before sending him away with £15 and a Blockbuster fountain pen. I wonder if he still has that. Perhaps a slightly less well-known one next, as we have a young Johnny Vegas making his television debut as an ordinary member of the public on Win, Lose or Draw under his real name Michael Pennington. If you've never seen Win, Lose or Draw, it's basically just Pictionary that pits 2 teams of 3 women and 3 men against each other. Johnny gets paired with Windsor Davies and Chris Akabusi, and he's up against Yvette Fielding, Cheryl Baker, and Sophie from Hove. Even at this early stage in his career, as he was breaking into the comedy business, you could already tell that he was hilariously funny.
So it's Michael... Oh, my stage name.
So you don't use your real name?
No, I don't.
Stage name, which is?
Johnny Vegas.
What about that?
Johnny
one?
Vegas!
Can I get me plug in? It's not a night out, it's a memory.
After the first round of drawings, Johnny's team took the lead with £130 as we go into the speed round, where each team has 2 minutes to get as many drawings correct as possible. Sophie and her team did pretty well by getting 6 correct to increase their score to £170, meaning that Johnny's team needed to get 5 right to win. Unfortunately, they were only able to get 4 right due to having to spend an entire minute trying to get Bulldozer, and so it went to the tiebreak where host Bob Mills draws something and the first to get it right wins. Johnny's team were able to guess the word holster somehow from that drawing and emerged the winners.
That's it! Holster, ladies and gentlemen, that was it. Holster, Windsor Davis, Holster!
In the years that followed, Johnny would of course go on to build a very successful career, including as a regular panelist on Shooting Stars, one of the best TV shows of the 90s and 2000s. But it's interesting to have taken a look back at his very first television appearance here on Win, Lose or Draw. Last but certainly not least, let's take a look at one of the toughest quizzes on television, University Challenge, which has been running for an incredible 63 years at the time of writing, having started in September of 1962. The show did have a hiatus for 7 years between the end of the show's ITV run in 1987 and the start of the current BBC run in 1994, and at the time of writing, the show is in its 55th series. University Challenge has had many contestants over the years who have gone on to have successful careers in show business. Miriam Margolyes represented Newnham College, Cambridge in the very first series of the show. Veteran journalist John Simpson represented Magdalene College, Cambridge the following year in 1964. The Beast, Mark Labbett from The Chase, appeared on the 1996-97 series where he captained the University of Glamorgan. And perhaps the most well-known celebrity to have appeared on University Challenge before finding fame is Sir Stephen Fry, who made his television debut on the show as a member of the team from Queen's College, Cambridge in 1980. University Challenge is far less popular today than it was in the past, but there's something about it that I quite like. Like many of us, I don't get a lot of the questions right, but it's an interesting quiz show and definitely one of the toughest on British TV. So there we have it. Those were just some celebrities who either made their first ever television appearance on a game show or appeared on one right at the start of their careers. There will have been so many that I haven't included in this video, so perhaps we'll do a follow-up to this at some point in the future and talk about a few more. But if there are any others you remember, please let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're enjoying the content here on the channel, and I'll see you again in the next video.